Welcome to Living English at the Houston Public Library, a 25-lesson language learning program that focuses on how you work, play, and interact with others in your everyday life. Hello, I'm Ryan Bowden from the Houston Public Library. Welcome to Living English at HPL. Today we're going to be talking about finding a job. So, whether you are just beginning your job search, if you've gotten a few interviews, or you've already started your new position, this is the lesson for you. Let's get started. Before we get into the main vocab, I want to talk about two terms that you may hear. One is job hunting, or the job hunt, right? This is the act of searching for a job. It's not an actual hunt, like a hunter, but it is looking around for a job. It might also be called job seeking, right? So it's looking for that job. Another term you might hear is dream job, right? A dream job isn't necessarily something you dream about, but it's an ideal position, right? It's where you see yourself. It would be a job that would combine both the passions, the things you love, with an opportunity to make money. So it's where you'd like to end up. Dream job. Okay, let's get into our regular vocabulary. So you've begun your job hunt. You may have to fill out a few applications. An application is how you make the employer aware that you would like a job. It is a form, usually, and you fill out information about yourself. There may be questions specifically about that job, and you submit that to them. So that's an application, a form you fill out for employment. There's also a resume. This is a form that you fill out ahead of time. It lists off your qualifications and your work experience and your history so they can know a little bit more about you. So a resume might look something like that right there. Resume. You could also send in a cover letter. This is a brief message that you send to the employer to let them know why you'd like the job. Why are you applying? Right? What makes you a good fit for this position? Right? Why should they hire you? So you write yourself a cover letter so they know that they should choose you for the job. And then finally, you might want some references. These are people who will speak on your behalf, people who know about your qualifications, maybe people you've worked with in the past, or know about your education as well. So it's people who are in your network. So get yourself a few references. That's a good thing. So, on the resume, you're going to list your strengths, things that you are good at, right? And this could be experiences like previous jobs. So experience, this guy has experience in construction, it looks like. Skills. So you might have a lot of skills. They could be computer skills. They could be just public speaking skills, right? So all kinds of different things. So this guy, he's juggling quite a few skills here, right? Qualifications. These are specific things that you could list that you have done. Now, education could be a qualification as well. It's an example of a qualification. If you completed, say, a computer training program, right, that would qualify you for a job. It would make you more attractive to the employer. And of course, your education. So what level of education have you achieved, right? Do you have a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree or a master's degree, right? Or some kind of certificate that makes you eligible to complete a job. So education, very important. All right, so types of employment. Full-time employment. Full-time employment is when you are working at least 40 hours a week, right? If you are a full-time employee, you are working 40 hours a week, right? So full-time, that is the most. Then you would have part-time. That's less than 40 hours a week. So you might work 15 or 20, right? But it's going to be less than that full-time employee. You may just have a few shifts every week. So that's part-time. You may have work that is seasonal or temporary. This is going to be for a short period of time over the course of a year. So in the United States, around the Christmas holiday, a lot of stores, retail stores, will hire more employees to be seasonal or temporary workers. So they will only work for the holiday and then they will move on to something else, right? So just for a season or just for a short period of time. And then finally, we have something called a gig worker. A gig worker, and they work in the gig economy, right? So it might be somebody who works for something like Uber, let's say, or a delivery service, right? So this is basically like a freelance type situation where you choose when you are going to work. There isn't really a contract here. There's no obligation to work all the time. So it's not necessarily part-time, right? And it's not seasonal because you can do it always throughout the entire year, but the hours are going to be limited and you're going to choose when and if you work. Okay, so that's a gig worker. All right, so hiring. If there is a vacancy, which means an open position, we got an empty seat over there and you could fill it, right? So that's a vacancy. So you could get a job and you could fill that seat. An open position is a vacancy. So if there's a vacancy, you might get an interview. That would be great. An interview is a meeting where you are evaluated or reviewed by a potential employer. They could ask you questions about your background, about your skills, about your education, maybe about why you want the job. That's an interview, right? But to get there, to get that interview, you may first have to search a job board or classifieds to find those vacancies, right? Now, back in the days of print media, we used to open the newspaper to find unemployment, right? We used to open the newspaper to find these job listings. We don't really do that anymore. Nowadays, it's probably online. There's probably an online jobs board or a website that will list off open positions, right? Those vacancies. And then we also have job fairs. These are events where employers will set up tables and they'll send representatives, and you can go and give them your resume or an application and convince them to hire you, right? So this is usually done by industry. So you may have a job fair for education or a job fair that's set around, public service if you'd like to work for, say, the city or the county or something like that. All right? Okay, so after all of that, you may be given a job offer and they will let you know how you're going to be compensated and what you will be doing. So you might get an hourly wage. So based on every hour that you work, you will be given a wage, an amount of money, right? That's an hourly wage. You'd be an hourly worker. Or you might get a salary. A salary is a payment over the course of, say, a year. So in a year, we will give you this amount of money, and then you will work throughout the year for that amount of money. It will be divided equally every probably 2 weeks or so, right? That's a salaried employee. You might get a commission like this car salesperson down here, right? So a commission, the more you sell or the more you produce, the more you'll be paid. So she has sold a car, which means she will now get a paycheck, and she will get more money the next time she sells a car. You'll probably also want to know what your position entails. So you applied for the job, and once you are hired, they will tell you specifically what you need to do, right? There might be a little more to it than when you looked it up online on that job board, right? So you'll want to inquire as to what the position is. So now that we've gone through all of that vocabulary, we're going to practice it here. So we have 6 sentences, and I'd like you to use these words from the word bank to fill them in. You will use each of them once. So go ahead and pause the video and try it out for yourself. I'll give you a second. Okay, how'd we do? My job pays me on commission. So the more I sell, the more money I earn. I went to the job fair with my resume and was hired immediately. That's great news. 3, it looks like the library has a vacancy. I think I'll send them my resume and cover letter. 4, the job I have now is all right, but I am still searching for my dream job. 5, my job in retail is seasonal, so I will have to look for something else after the holidays are over. And then finally, number 6, they offered me the job in construction because I had years of experience. That's great. Experience definitely helps when you're looking for a job. I hope you did well. We're going to move on to some grammar. So today, we're going to talk about the present perfect tense, right? But that involves past participles. I know that's a lot to remember. But we've talked about past participles before. This is a type of verb that describes actions taken in the past, right? So why do we need this? Well, we're going to use these past participles to describe from the present what we have done previously. This is very important for resumes because on a resume, you want to tell people about who you are now and what you have done in the past. Let's try this out. So positive, what we need is the subject plus have or has plus the past participle. I have eaten my lunch today. So I'm telling you about something that I've already done, right? But it influenced who I am right now and how my day is going, right? So I have eaten my lunch today. What about negatives? Subject plus has not rather, or have not, plus the past participle. I have not started my work, right? I have not started it. It is still undone. I'm letting you know that I didn't do it in the past and I need to get it done now, right? You know something about me right now. And then finally, interrogative or just asking questions. Subject plus has or have plus the past participle in the form of a question. Have you finished the book? So if I'm asking you about whether or not you've completed something, whether you finished something, this is a good way to do it. All right, so let's practice using this as if we were trying to talk about our skills or our qualifications, right? So I've given you a form of the verb. I'd like you to turn that into a past participle and complete this present perfect tense, right? So let's go ahead and try this out. Pause your video, I'll give you a second. So how'd you do? Let's take a look. I have improved my time management skills. That's great, right? You are better than what you were before, improved. 2, I have won many awards for my video creation. Shows how good you are at something. 3, I have managed a team of coworkers on important projects. That's great experience. And then 4, I have completed a computer training program, right? So that shows education and qualifications that you have. So this is all great stuff for a resume or to share with potential employers, right? What about the employer side? If they're interviewing you, they may use present perfect in order to ask questions, right? So let's try these 4. Pause your video and see if you can complete these sentences. All right, let's see how we did. Have you filmed videos before? Right? They're asking you, do you have any experience? Well, I certainly do. Have you solved problems like this at previous jobs? Right? They want to know about your problem-solving skills. 3, how have you reacted to challenges in the past? And then finally, when have you assisted others in completing a task? Can you work with others on a job? All right, well, I hope you did well. If not, go back and try again, and we will see you again soon. Have a great day.